this computer. All right. Well, it is 9:30 and it is September 12th here in the year 2023. And this is CIT 225 Fall 23. And so welcome. My name is Brother Stevic or Don Stevic or Hey You. And I'll be your instructor for this class. I've been doing this for about 7 years now. I do enjoy this class. I've been a DBA, a database administrator, since 2003. Prior to that, I was a drama teacher. I was a high school drama teacher with a master's degree in acting. I decided I wanted to make some real money, so I got into computers because public education just doesn't pay what you would hope it would pay. And so I became a database administrator, and I enjoy it. It is a lot of fun for me to do databases. If you read my intro, I talk about the artistic nature of databases and how it's about database flow and how the data flows and how everything works. And so we're going to talk about that a lot. My availability, I try to be as available as I can to you guys. In my opening email, my announcements, my phone number's there, my email address is there. So if you ever need me for anything, texting is the best way to get a hold of me. Keeping in mind that I'm in the Eastern time zone, I am in Orlando, Florida. If you text me at like 11 o'clock Utah time, that is 1 o'clock in the morning here, I'm probably not responding till the next day. We do have we do have students from all over the world. So just keep in mind the time zones as we do things. So what I want to do tonight is I want to go to a kind of an overview of the course, how it's set up, what the expectations are for you guys, what you will see over the next course, the next 14 weeks. Give a quick tour of MySQL, what we'll be using, and then open up to any questions from you guys. So do you guys have any questions to start?
Not for me.
All right. Okay, so when you open up your move this over here. When you open up your canvas here, this is what you're going to see. We all see the same thing. Over here, you're going to have your modules, and where the modules are is where you're going to find the assignments. Now, in any given week, there are going to be the same number of assignments. There will always be a preparation and reading. There will always be exercises, and there will always be a quiz, and there will always be a paper. Weeks 1 and week 2 are a little bit different because we've got a syllabus quiz and we've got this discussion icebreaker. The syllabus quiz, exactly what it is. They expect you to look at the syllabus. You take a quiz on that. One disclaimer from the top: I did not write this course. I did not write the quizzes. This was something that was generated by a team. I am one of the moderators of the course, so I can make changes to quizzes. So if you do see any mistakes in the quizzes, please let me know so I can fix them. They're constantly adding questions, and they're great at adding questions. They're not really great at proofreading or making sure the questions are actually correct. So please let me know if you find anything.
The syllabus quiz is poorly written. Poorly. I mean, I'd be embarrassed to even post it as a college. They should be super embarrassed.
Yeah, I've given that feedback before. I don't even, honestly, between you and me and whoever watches this video when it goes to my YouTube channel, like and subscribe. I don't know why we have a syllabus quiz, because I mean, you read it or you don't read it, right? The icebreaker is just a quick way to pop into it's a way to introduce you guys to the discussion boards, and it's probably the only time you guys will actually use the discussion boards the entire semester, because that's not how we communicate anymore. This course has been taught this way for probably the last 12 years. We used to teach Oracle in this course, and that was a huge nightmare because they expect you to download VMware and a 3.5 terabyte VMware machine.
Jeez.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore. That's why I do. That's what I do MySQL. We install it locally. Everything is great and fine. So the Iceberg is just a quick introduction. Here's who I am. Here's what I like. Here's a picture of my family. We'll never do those again. Preparation reading. I'm gonna go through this real quick. Preparation reading. One very specific thing about this week, and so as you look at here, this is what we're going to be talking about in this particular week. Okay, these are the reading assignments. Now, you will be assigned chapters to read in the book. Okay, I do not advocate trying to read this book. I don't know if you've ever tried reading a technical manual before. This is a great technical resource manual. It's fantastic. It's got tons of information in it. But if you try to sit down and read chapter 1, you're just not going to make it through. It's not interesting. It's not compelling. There's not a lot of plot going on. The book that you were given is best used as a reference. So when you're looking something up, hit that index, scan through chapter 1. The PowerPoint slides give you a great Cliff's Notes or Spark Notes on the chapter. So definitely go through the PowerPoint slides. Also, you're going to see a bunch of links and video tutorials in here. Make sure you go over those. Make sure you watch the go to the links and read what's there. The quizzes you take have information not only from the book, but also from the web links. And in all honesty, the web links provide more easily consumable information than the book does. Again, I'm not saying it's a bad book. I'm just saying if you've ever tried to read a technical manual, it is not a pleasant read. It's not a page turner, is what I like to say. But absolutely use it. In this particular thing, you have this little thing here about creating this user. So this is a holdover from the Oracle days, this particular exercise. 90% of the students who do this, it works without a problem. 10%, it doesn't work. If you want to try it, do it. If it doesn't work, don't sweat it. We will never use this again. This is asking you to go into the shell, the CLI, the command line interface, to run something, but we'll never use it again in this course. Like I said, it's just a holdover from the days of Oracle. All of our work is done in here in the workbench. This is where we do our work. Okay. Next up on the modules here, we will always have exercises. In week 1, the exercises are 4 questions. They're going to ask you, did you use the command line interface? Did you create the user? Did you do that stuff? Just answer yes to everything, and you're good to go. Week 2, and we're going to talk about this next week, it's reverse engineering a website. That's for the paper. So the exercise in week 2, the exercise will start being code, simple select statements and stuff like that. We will go over them on Tuesday. On Tuesdays, I will go over the code and how to use the code that you're expected to do in the exercises. And I will give you more information than is required to accomplish the exercises. I really enjoy writing T-SQL code. It's a lot of fun. For me, I enjoy how it works, how the wording is, because it's a very easy language to understand. Have any of you guys written in T-SQL before?
No.
Okay. Have you ever written like in C++ or VB or Java or something like that? Any programming language? Yeah.
I've done a little bit of Java.
Okay. Yeah. So it's T-SQL is basic English. The first command we always use is select. So we'll talk about this more next week when we get into how to write the code. It's a very simple, straightforward way of writing code. And I do enjoy it a lot. So starting next week, the exercise will be write code that does this, write code that does that. Now, what you will learn pretty quickly is that the answers to the exercises are in the back of the book. They decided a long time ago that we weren't going to hide that information from you guys because y'all find it eventually anyway, right? So what I say is try to write the code yourself. Try to write it. If you can't get it, then by all means go to the back of the book and see what the code is, because there is a lot of value in reverse engineering code. If you don't know what you're doing and you can't figure it out and you go see how the code is written, then you will understand. You'll start taking it apart. And next week, when we talk about code, we will start dissecting code and how it works. And so when you dissect code and you see how it works, you're able to write it again, right? You'll be able to write it for yourself once you understand how it works. Every week there's always a quiz. The quiz is, like I said, the quiz is 6 to 8 questions on the reading, not only from the book, but also from all the links. The quizzes are all open note, open website, open everything. So, and the quizzes should be take it 2 times, best score counts. Okay. So utilize your resources when you take the quizzes. Make sure if you don't know a question, pull up the book, pull up the websites, find the answer. Again, this is something that 10 years ago they tried to make it like really, so you do this like head down, figure it out like you do in a classroom. But the truth is, and here's the truth is, when you're in field, and you're working as a DBA or a developer in IT, you've got the entire internet up to you to find answers for things. So one of the best interview questions, if I know every interview I've ever been, they've asked me, do you know how to do this? And invariably they'll ask me something I don't know how to do. But I've told all my students that knowing the answer is good. Knowing where to find the answer is just as good. All right. So there will always be a quiz. Every week there will always be a paper. The paper is basically a prompt that says here, write a 3 to 5 paragraph report that explains why the MySQL command shell presents advantages to translate productivity. It basically is just here, write about what you learned this week in 3 to 5 paragraphs. Every week it's a different prompt. Every week you're expected to write this, except for next week. And next week we have something called reverse engineering website. I will talk about that next week. It's not difficult. It's not scary. It's actually very, very easy to do. It is a very, very high level conversation, what we're asking you to do there. It's basically just opening up a website and hypothesizing to me on how you think the back end works. It's very, very much analytical in nature, just because we don't expect you guys to know a lot about database at this point. You'll know a little bit about tables and how they work. So I will give you an example next week on what to expect for that assignment. So don't worry about it. After that, it will always be a paragraph. Now, the only thing that changes, and this is something we're going to talk about more a little bit next week, in 2 weeks in our meeting, we're going to talk about it a lot, is at the end of this course, you've got a choice. There is a final exam. It is 100 some odd questions. It is based completely on the quizzes. It is open book. You get 2 attempts, just like the quizzes, and you can pass that test. And then the course is done for you guys. The title of this course is Database Administration and Design. And about 5 years ago, I really spoke to the course designers and said, hey, we're talking a lot about the administration of database, but we're not talking about anything about the design of the database. So I suggested to them that we implement a final project that could take the place of the final exam. And what the final project is, you will pick something you want to design an application about. In the past, Students have designed applications for food storage. They've designed applications for scheduling kids' times. They've designed applications for book collections. So basically, you're going to design a database for the back end of an application. You're going to design about 10 tables and all the queries and everything goes with it. You'll write the table, you'll write the queries that create the tables, you'll write the queries that insert the data, you'll write the queries to get the data out, and you will design from start to finish a full database, and talk about how it will tie to a front end. It is a very, very cool thing. About a third of the students do it every semester. And if you have any interest in this, I highly recommend you do it. It is very, very cool and a very, very fun thing to do. If you do, and here's the thing, if you do the final project versus the final exam, your weekly papers are now just notes to me on how you're doing in the project. You no longer follow the prompt. So if Leon decides he's gonna do the final exam and the final project, and week 3, his paper will be, hey, I've been thinking about different things I could do the database on. I'm thinking of doing it like on, I'm a big baseball guy, so I'm gonna do a database on keeping track of baseball statistics, or I'm a big vinyl record guy. I'm gonna make a database on vinyl records and keep a collection. And those papers every week are more about how you're doing on your project in communication with me than anything else. Okay. If you decide on week 3 that you're gonna do the final project, and on week 11 you realize you don't have the time to do the final project, go do the final exam. It's totally fine. You're not locked into anything here. My goal in this class is to make sure you get exactly out of it what you want. And the more you want out of it, the more I'm going to help you get. Okay. That's why a lot of our conversations about code and how code work end up more deep dives into the coding than is requested by the book and the course, because there are natural regressions in code that we don't cover here, that I will tell you the rest of the story on and how the code finishes. I also do a lot of, if anyone's interested, I really am intrigued on how the back end of it, like how the guts of the database work, how the table is stored on disks, and how that information is brought back and forth between the two. And I will talk about that on some Tuesday nights, as the topics come up. But that's where the papers go. Okay. Any questions so far? Everyone do good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I do have questions.
Yeah.
I have questions. The writing, I like the idea of doing the design. I'll admit that my coding is not probably that good, so I'm curious as to if we write notes to what we're discussing. Will you be providing feedback on potential, hey, this is how you would probably want to do that? Yep. That type of stuff.
Yep, absolutely. So what happens, that's a great question. So what happens is, so for the first 7 weeks, when we meet on Tuesday nights, it is, here's the code for this week, here's what we're talking about, and that takes about 15-20 minutes. And then I take about 15-20 minutes and I will design a database. And we'll walk through it together on how we design databases. And then between that and as we're talking about how to write the code, you will start figuring out how to write the code. And then from week 8 on, the Tuesday night calls become more about the final projects. People come in and they will, here's what I'm doing, here's the code. Can you help me figure out what's wrong? If you send me the code, I will help you troubleshoot it. Okay. Yeah, so this, like I said, the final projects are a lot of fun to do, and you will find probably right around week 6 or 7, as you're going through this, the code actually, once you understand the structure of the code, it becomes very easy to write. T-SQL code has a pattern to it, and as long as you adhere to the pattern, the code comes out and works. There's a bunch of ways of cheats to show you. I'll show you how to cheat a lot of stuff. Because
I just finished CT 111, so I'm hoping that it will rub off
Mhm.
what I learned.
Yeah,
Plus, I write very little SQL at work for things that I need to do at work.
what do you do at work?
I'm email marketing,
Okay.
and I manage our systems through Marketing Cloud, and need to write SQL commands in
Mhm.
order to join things together. And in fact, just going through the CT 111 helped me figure out a code that I was writing a query the other day that was really nice, that I figured out all on my own. It was awesome. So kind of hoping to be able to do that, because
Sure. And I tell you what, even that, if we're on a Tuesday night call and you have something at work that you're trouble figuring out, I am all about sharing that code, walking through with you. Anything we can do this.
Have you heard, if I don't want to hijack this because I will. Have you heard of I don't know how to say it, but is it Sargable SARG able query warnings?
No.
Oh, I get a lot of that now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's basically, I mean, the queries work. It's just that from what I've read about it, it's just writing redundancies that could be written a little cleaner, a little.
Oh, okay.
So that it pulls the data out quicker, because as your code gets bigger, as your databases get bigger, you could run into failures. And
yeah, that is something that is not something we generally fall into the scope of this course, but it's absolutely something we can talk about, because query writing is an art, and understanding how to pull the data out from large tables is incredibly important. The one thing we don't talk about here that would help in that is indexing. We do chapter week 12 talks about indexing very, very lightly, and it's not something we really address. But if we have extra time one Tuesday, we can walk through indexing, and I can talk days on indexing. It's again, like I said, there's creating a database is absolutely it's almost like designing a garden with irrigation, right? So you gotta put all your plants in different areas so they grow just the way they need to. You have to have access to those plants to get into them. You gotta make sure the irrigation goes across, everything gets water, right? But it's also about how do you organize things so you can get to them, and how, the plants that are near each other, they feed off each other as opposed to destroy each other, right? So there's a whole way to do this that I can actually absolutely dig into on a Tuesday night. And if we end up staying a little longer to talk about stuff, I don't have a problem with that. So, but yeah, so I do try to, I can get lost in these conversations sometimes, particularly when we're designing databases. When I'm designing, when I taught this in person back a million years ago, the classroom I taught in was 4 walls, and it was 4 walls of whiteboards. So I could write all the way around the room. And so I would start in the front right corner, and I would go around the entire classroom and design the database, right? So it's intriguing. And like I said, if any of you guys or anyone who's watching at home right now have work issues with T-SQL, bring them into discussing class the last 5-10 minutes, I'm totally fine with that. The more we do, the more we expose you guys to SQL and how it works, the better it is for you all down the line. Right. So yeah. So that's the big things that I just want to get through tonight. How the course is laid out, what's expected of you guys, how it works. I accept late work until week 10 at full credit. So, because one thing I have learned is that I have yet to have a semester where at least 2 or 3 students have some sort of crisis, a death in the family, a disease, something goes on, a baby is born, something happens. And so just like life and in business, as long as you communicate with me, I will take your late work and I'll work with you on a schedule to make sure you catch up. I really try to have low dropout rates and high pass rates because I want to make sure everyone learns. And it's more important for me that you learn what you're doing and take your late work than it is for me to like say, sorry, you missed week 2, you're out of luck, you're gonna fail because that's the way it's gonna be. But after week 10, I don't take late work because grading becomes a problem at that point in time, and I can't go back and grade this stuff. So so there's that. And I think that covers everything I got for week 1. Do you guys have any questions for me other than that, other than what you like what we're doing in the class? Anything about me that you want to know? Like my Minecraft temple that I built back there?
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
No, but I do have one question just quickly. The CLI, command line interface, is that a big part of this? Do we need it a lot if I'm on a Mac and I
Nope.
just don't? Okay.
Nope. It is
I
very
won't sweat
funny. No, don't at all. It's very funny. I've always laughed about this because this paper we write here talks about why the CLI is so much better than using the GUI or the IDE, right? And
Yeah, I
then
can't defend that.
we
not
never
personally.
use the CLI for the rest of the class. The only time
Okay.
we do it is in this one thing here where it's like create the user. And I was telling Emmanuel before y'all got here, when I got my first DBA job, so I'm self-taught. When I left teaching at drama, I went and took my MCSE, Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer,
Engineer.
test back in 2000, and because I tested really well, the guy who owned the school where I was testing offered me a job teaching because I was taking the test in like 10-15 minutes and getting perfect scores. So he thought that made me a good teacher. But anyway, I taught there for 4 or 5 years, and I started teaching A+. Then I started teaching MCSE, and then they needed a DBA teacher, so I taught myself SQL. And then a little language called C# came along, and like my one nerd claim to fame in this world is I was one of the first 100 people certified with Microsoft for C#. Somewhere
nice.
I got a little gold
Wow.
card saying I was one of the top 100. you know, so not that I've used it anymore. It's been a long time since I've written C# code. But the point is, so when I left the teaching world, I went into the DBA world. I wanted to seem like I was really cool. So I would take my command prompt out and I'd pull it up there and I'd make it look like the old green CRT tubes, right? And I would do all my coding from there. And I was just like, I'm just coding. And it was so much work. And it really wasn't worth it. The coolness factor just didn't really rub off. So I do everything from the GUI now. So I just find it funny that we have one assignment in the CLI to create a user, and that user has never used the course. That user, you never use the student user. You're giving it root commands, so unless you're using a Linux box, root doesn't matter.
Right.
So, and then they want you to write a paper explaining why CLI has advantages over this IDE in productivity. And I have yet to find out something you can do in the CLI that you can't do in this. So
can we write a contrary view on that?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because I'm the one who grades it. It's not like, so I agree with you. I don't, and for the first couple of years when we moved to MySQL, I kind of hid the fact that I disagreed with this completely, but now I don't. I'm like, I can't pretend anymore. The CLI is fun, and if you want to show off, that's cool. If you want to think your job is way harder than it is, that's cool too. But there's no purpose to ever do that anymore.
So I've
Um,
got one question.
Sure.
So I'm thinking about, creating a project,
Mhm.
working on a project.
Mhm.
So instead of, writing that CLI on a paper there, I can write something about a project that I'm
Not
So,
not week 1 and not week 2, but week 3 you can.
oh, okay. Not
Yeah.
week 1, not week 2,
Yeah.
not week
Because
3. Oh,
I need to, before you guys start working on the project, it takes about, if you're dedicated and work fast, it takes about 7 weeks to do the project right. 7 or 8. But usually takes right around 10 weeks to do, right?
okay.
For someone who's working Midland. So on week 3, so 2 weeks from tonight, I will go into great detail as to what's expected on the project. Because if you went right now and looked what the project said there, you'd freak out because it's incredibly complicated and they haven't let me change it yet. I do have
Okay.
the power to change it, but the asking forgiveness over permission thing has come across to me sometimes, but I'm not the only one who teaches this course. So, and there are some people who do use the requirements for the project as listed. I don't. So, before you do anything project wise, wait till week 3 to
Okay.
start, because I will go to. And the other thing is, the big thing here is week 2 is actually pretty important because this thing at the reverse engineering website.
Mhm.
So the high level of that is you need to make a video for me, record yourself, show your face on it, and show me a website and tell me how you think the back end works. The reason we do this is because of this thing here, Proctorio. We
Mhm.
don't want to use Proctorio. Proctorio is malware, is spyware. We don't want to put that on our computers. We need something that we do with you guys that shows us your face, that it's you doing the thing, and we need to have one of those a semester.
Hmm.
It used to be the week 6 quiz that you guys have log into Proctorio, find Bob who's sitting in his hotel in Seattle, who's going to watch you take a test, and then take the test. We have gotten permission instead of that if you guys do this week 2 assignment where you give me a video showing reverse engineer website, that satisfies the video portion, so we don't have to use Proctorio and we can keep our accreditation.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we don't want to use Proctorio. So and yeah, and the week 6 quiz still says please use Proctorio. And again, I can't remove that because if you don't do the week 2, I need you to do the Proctorio exam. So
Okay.
that's where it is. But week 3 we'll talk about it. You can start thinking about it now. Like what would I what database would I design? What's something that I love that makes something that I could use? I've actually had, in the last 5 years we do this, I've had about a half dozen students actually build out databases and front end applications for businesses they're a part of. So
Mhm.
it could be a very productive thing. So but yeah, so don't necessarily worry about that. So the week 1 paper, we got to do the old fashioned way. Tell me why the ID is better than the CLI. Week 2, it has to be the reverse engineering of the website. And week 3, after you talk about the project, you can start saying, hey, I want to do the project. Here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Okay. And to your point, Leon, also, as we get later into like the week 7, 8, 9s, if you want, you can put the code you're writing in there and I'll go over it and give you suggestions on what's going on and what's happening with it and how to tweak it to make sure it's working right.
Okay.
Mhm. Yep.
Not saying that I'm going to do it because it sounds hard, but
It's really not. That's why I keep it open to like doing something you want, like something you enjoy, right?
like I don't know if you know, I'm in my cycle gear. I just got
I
off a
see
ride,
that.
so if I could build a cycling
Sure.
back end
Yeah. You
with
could do
bikes
like,
and
yeah. You could do like bike trails and ratings and how many people and all that. You could do a great database on bike trails. You could do a great database on bike parts and maintenance and stuff. That's I could design that. That's now I want to design that database. That sounds like fun to do. Um, I think in the 7 years I've done this class, I've designed probably about 67 different random databases. But the project, don't let the project overwhelm you. It is not difficult. The hardest part of the project is getting the database, getting the tables built. Because once that's done, and once you go through the 7 weeks of writing code with me, writing the code's the easy part.
Okay.
It is. It's designing the database, making sure you've got the right schema. We got to go through something called normalization, making sure everything's there. But once that database is designed, once you get all those tables in place, the code's the easy part. And since it's something I love to do, I'll help everyone walk through step by step. I love grading these things. It's so much more fun for me than grading the stupid final exam, which I don't have to
So
grade.
yeah, I have another question.
Sure.
It's about the designing of the table. I remember when I can't remember. It's a quite a while. It's been quite a while now. I was doing is it WDD 100 Introduction to Website Design.
Huh?
So I think we were taught about creating a diagram of how the website is gonna look like. So I don't know, are we gonna be able to do something like that in creating a table? Let's say like having a rough sketch of how we want the table to look or the database to look like in a diagram form.
You're actually gonna create something that looks like this. Let me open up one of these things. Let me go here. Open model. Let me see. You are going to. Second. Where's BYU? There's BYU.
Yeah.
And do I have them in here? Nope, in here. Okay, what do we want to do? Let's look at the running database that I made. That's not a good one. That's not impressive. Let's look at the net. Oh, the next one they did. That's fine. Yep. That one's better. You're going to design that. That's your database.
Okay.
So you're going to create the tables. You're going to create the columns. You're going to create the data types. You're going to create all the relationships between them. You're going to tell me how the database moves between it. You're going to make sure it's normalized. And that's what you're going to give me. This is what's referred to as an ERD or an entity relationship diagram.
I have a question about this. Just I've never can't understand the difference between the marching ants and the solid line.
You and me both.
What's that?
You and me both.
Okay. Okay. It just makes no sense.
I'm a little bit
Different
confused
styles.
now.
Yep. You and me both.
Yeah.
I've actually looked into it and I think I found the answer at one point in time, but it was so inconsequential. It means it's the same thing. Because the big thing is, the big thing remember is like here, when you see the double lines here to the little fork, this is one to many.
Yeah.
Right. That's the thing. When you see the this to this, when it's both on the same side, that's one to one. Right. And what you never want to see is many to many. These two and the two forks on each side. But this is pretty bulletproof, because if you try to do a many to many relationship, it won't let you do it. It fixes it for you. And we'll get into that. I don't want to get too deep diving into it today. But yeah, as far as the dotted line versus the solid lines, I'll look up the answer again. It was something that really didn't make a difference, because I've done both and it comes out the same way.
Okay, just one question. Leonie,
go ahead. Go ahead.
okay. So with this diagram I'm looking at right now, see where you have spacecraft, destination. These are tables, right?
Yep, those are tables.
Good. Okay. Okay. All right. Individual tables and the relationship between each of them. I can see primary keys on. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, we'll get into all this. We will talk about primary keys and foreign keys. We'll talk about normalization of data, which is a critical thing. And that's really, when you're designing a database, the biggest problem you end up having is the normalization of data. Because what normalization of data means is there's a couple things. One, you should never have the same data in more than one place. So if you've,
Ah,
so like if you have a customer name, that customer name should only exist in one place and not in 5 different places, right? The second thing about normalization of data is a table only contains information that is relative to the topic of that table. So here, for spacecraft, I wouldn't have destination in here. I wouldn't have the distance or whatever, because it doesn't make sense in here. So whatever this title is the only information that goes in here.
okay.
Yeah, and we will deep dive into this. We will be talking about this a lot. Because I will start probably week 4. I will design a database and I will go through the process of understanding normalization. And I've got some specific examples that I do. There are some common mistakes that people make all the time. And I will in my designs starting week 4, I will show you those and explain how to get around them. But like I said, this is the hardest part.
Two questions. First
Sure.
one's really a statement. You're gonna have to dive into why many to many is no good. You don't do it today, but I really want to know what you're opposed to about it. And then
Can you replace that first question? My dog's decided to talk.
the many to many. You
Oh yeah.
you struck a chord. I want to know because I think about like when I have customers and I have orders, I could have multiple orders going to the same customer.
Yep.
So there could be a many to many in I could see there being a many to many. In fact, I remember last class that we did a many to many. We had to have a many to many. I'm just curious as to. So you said you didn't want to go into it now, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I am now intrigued. I am very interested in what you want to know, or your thoughts on that. And then,
normalization of databases says many to many relationships are forbidden. You can never have a many to many relationship, and there's ways to work around that.
So
And when you try to make a many to many, because this is your many to many, right? If you
Yep.
use this, so what'll happen is it'll create a third table.
Yep.
So if I did like one astronaut will be on many missions, one mission will have many astronauts. So these two tables, if I tried to connect them together, here, I'll show you. I'll show you what happens.
Yeah, I know what it does. It creates that
The join table. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I know, I understand that, but when you said you brought up the word normalization in this, that you can't normalize. So when you say that in our project you want to have us to explain normalization, is that just to the 3rd level?
Yeah, just the 3rd level.
Okay.
I've seen I personally I don't go past the 3rd level because the 4th and 5th levels I think get too granular. I've seen databases that are ridiculously normalized where there was a zip code table, a city table, a state table, a country table, a street table, and at that takes it too far. Normalization has to be logical and it has to let everything flow naturally, right? So you don't want to have like one-off tables for everything. But like I said, one of the cardinal errors is, and when you use this design tool, it doesn't let you do many to many. It forbids many to many relationships. It won't let them happen. But yeah, you don't want to make those. You want to make sure you don't have those.
Okay.
But we'll go through a number of different examples on this. And when you start showing me your ERDs, I'll say here this. And when we hit like week 8 or 9, I'll offer some one-on-one time. So you can bring in your ERD and we'll talk about it one-on-one, or you can talk about it during the meeting and we'll bring up, I'll show you here, this is where you need to do this, and this is where this needs to be normalized this way and clean it up that way. So we talk about it a lot.
All right, my last question.
Sure.
Tuesday nights, this is my kickboxing night, right in the middle of kickboxing.
Yeah.
Is it important that I'm in every one of these meetings?
No.
Or
nope?
But next week sounds pretty important
because I record them. I record them and I post them the next day.
Okay.
So
it'll just be less interesting without you there, Leon.
What's that?
I was just going to say that without Leon there, it just won't be quite as interesting.
Well, what I do recommend, if you know you're not going to be there and you have questions, when I put my announcement up on Tuesday saying, hey, the meeting's tonight, comment a question you'll have, and I'll address that question during the course of the video.
Okay.
Because normally what'll happen is like you guys are here tonight. Next week we'll probably have more people, and then we'll probably hit around 8 people week 3, and then we'll be down to 3 or 4 people toward, because there's an attrition rate that happens as we go farther into time. And there'll be times when I'm here alone, just talking to myself, which is totally fine too. Yeah, you don't have to do all these.
Okay.
I used to do them Wednesday nights, and then I had conflicts because I'm in the bishopric and I have to be there for young men. So it's hard for me to do Wednesday nights. And then I found Tuesday nights to be better because Wednesday was too far into the week and people had already started doing the exercise and were frustrated. So on Tuesdays, I do it and I can go through the stuff, and then you can do the exercise there. And the TA should be announcing a day where she will be meeting with you guys Wednesday or Thursday. Probably not to help you with the final project, but absolutely to help you with the code.
Sounds good.
And there's always just shoot me an email, shoot me a text, or posting a comment to the announcement for the things. Let me know you have a question. Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else,
Thank
guys?
you.
Lee, you doing good?
All good. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, I look forward to have a great semester, and I'm here to help you.
Right.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
night.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.